The 5 Pillars of Islam. For this assignment, you will use the handout that looks like the word Islam, and you will draw pictures and write keywords to represent each pillar of faith of Islam inside the letter. So for instance, in the letter I, you will write the keywords and pictures that represent the first pillar of Islam. The second pillar will go in S, the third pillar will go in L, and so on. The first pillar of faith is the Shahada. This is the profession of faith. A Muslim or a person who follows Islam has to show his or her belief in one God and the importance of Muhammad by saying, "There is only one God and Muhammad is his prophet." Muslims say this phrase over and over again. They say it several times a day. It's at the beginning of every prayer. They greet each other with this phrase. This is one of their mantras, one of the things that they say over and over again to remind each other that God is their focus and Muhammad is the person who told them about God here on earth. The text that you see in the bottom right-hand corner is this phrase, "There is only one God and Muhammad is his prophet," written in Arabic. The second pillar of Islam is the Salat. Salat is the daily time of worship and prayer. Muslims pray 5 times a day. They pray at dawn, at noon, at midday, at dusk, and at sunset. Muslims do not set a specific day of the week apart for worship and prayer because they don't believe that God rested after creating the heavens and the earth like is taught in Judaism and Christianity. To prepare for this prayer, a Muslim washes his hands, his feet, and his face before prayer. Then they lay out a prayer mat and start in a standing position. There are specific words that are said in between each movement of standing, kneeling, bowing, and putting their face to the floor. This is a set prayer that's said over and over the same way every single time. This is to unify Muslims together by doing it at the same time of the day together from all over the world and to remind them of their focus on God and on Muhammad. The next pillar of faith is the zakat. This is giving to the poor. Muslims are expected to give 2.5% of what they earn and own each year to help the poor. They are able to give more than that if they have enough money or possessions to do so. This is a gift that is given every year, and it's to take care of those less fortunate in the world and especially in their communities. The fourth pillar of Islam is Swam. This means fasting. Fasting is to go without food in order to become closer to the deity that you worship. This is not a diet. This is so that every time you get hungry, the person who's following that faith would be reminded to depend on the deity they're worshiping instead of on food. During the month of Ramadan, Muslims are expected to fast or keep from eating from sunrise to sunset. They have a small meal every evening, but then when the sun is up, they don't eat. Ramadan is important to Muslims because it represents when Muhammad received his message from God and became a prophet. This is also when the Hajj occurs, which is the pilgrimage that we're going to talk about in the next pillar of faith. The fifth and final pillar of Islam is the Hajj. The Hajj is a pilgrimage or a long journey that every Muslim is expected to make once in their lifetime. Every Muslim who is able is expected to make a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their life. Muslims from all over the world come together at Mecca for the Hajj. It's a unifying event. Again, this happens during Ramadan every year. The picture on your screen is a picture of the end of the Hajj, and all of those little white rings around that building are people. There's much more information for you about the Hajj in a later center that you'll be working on. But what you need to know is that the Hajj is something that all Muslims try to do, and they are in Saudi Arabia to do this, and it is a reenactment of some of the steps of Abraham and some of the steps of Muhammad that every Muslim takes so that they can become closer to Allah and feel more in tune with the other people who practice Islam from around the world.